No confusion regarding Apple. It's up today. It's a rare thing to see on a percentage basis among the Dow's strongest performers today, and that even after acknowledging that it's cutting iPhone production by 10% between now and March, acknowledging the obvious that demand for a lot of these pricey phones simply wasn't and isn't what it thought. Popular Science tech editor Rob Verger here on what this means. Rob, what do you think?
Well, I think actually this may be bad news for Apple necessarily if they're not selling as many phones as they thought they would, but it could be good news for consumers because if it means that Apple's phones are lasting longer for people and they're waiting for longer to upgrade, then they're actually saving money. So if the devices work well, I think that's good for consumers, and it can mean that Apple may need to cut back on its production, which is, bad for Apple, bad for investors, but necessarily, probably good for consumers actually.
Rob, many have been always envious of Apple for charging such a premium that its profit margin in the high 30s is the envy of not only the technology world, but almost any sector, the economy or any corporate sector, period. Are those days gone? In other words, can Apple get away with charging a lot more for its products?
Well, it's hard to know if they're going to decide to, slash their prices and offer a cheaper or less expensive iPhone. I think that's less likely. I think they're going to keep investing in their services. Their services have been very profitable for them. Apple Music, iTunes, and their wearables category like Apple Watch and AirPods. So they're going to keep investing in that and keep selling a lot of those. So if they're selling fewer iPhones and selling fewer iPhones in China and the U.S., that's going to hit, Apple's revenue. But I'm not sure that they'll necessarily decide, say, hey, we're going to start charging less for the phones at this point.
Maybe because I'm a bit of a geek, I have an Apple iPhone. I also have a Samsung Galaxy phone. It could be just me, and you're the expert, I'm not, but I noticed that a lot of these competitive products, for example, from Samsung Galaxy, a superior camera, a faster processor, a lot of bells and whistles that Apple doesn't have, or I know there's a great cachet to the Apple name, but the reality is that the innovation that was so rapid is not there. I don't want to say Apple's been sitting on its laurels. I just think that they've been taking a lot for granted, and I think many buyers are sensing that.
Right, and it's really such a matter of personal taste, too. Samsung makes wonderful phones, and people buy them, and people are very loyal to Samsung, the Galaxy Note, the line you were just mentioning, and, the same's true for Apple. So, I think we're going to still see the same level of innovation from Apple going forward, which is that it's iterative. Each year they release a phone that's slightly better than the year before.
But is that enough, Rob? And there's always been talk that they have to do something really big. Sometimes I get into the content business, buy content from a major player, enter the Disney game, that sort of thing. I don't know, but that would seem to be sort of like a conventional route to go, albeit an expensive one. But that is their future. What do you think?
I think that is their future, and whether it's enough or not is for kind of Tim Cook and the rest of the gang to decide there in terms of how how splashy do they want to try to be with new products or new offerings or features on the phone. Apple's tends to be kind of cautious in terms of only releasing something when it's actually working very well. So I don't think we're going to necessarily see huge gains or huge innovation when it comes to the iPhone line, but we can expect just year and year again a phone with a slightly better camera, or we see things like Touch ID making way for Face ID. So they're going to slowly improve the way they do security for the phones, for example. So it's an iterative process, and I don't think there's any indication that that's going to change in the near future.
All right, we'll watch it very, very closely. Rob, Happy New Year. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Thank you.